Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Promise and watched the alien ships appear in space. They came out of nowhere like magic. One moment the stars looked normal, and the next moment dozens of huge ships filled the darkness. The alien ships were beautiful. They looked like giant crystals floating in space, all smooth curves and bright lights. Each ship was longer than 10 city blocks. Their hulls sparkled with colors that changed from blue to purple to gold. Energy flowed across their surfaces like water, making pretty patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Sir, we're getting a message from the lead ship," Captain Sojin said from her station. She was a small woman with sharp eyes who never missed anything important. "They want to talk," Tejo nodded. He had been expecting this day for years. Earth's scientists had picked up strange signals from deep space. The government had quietly prepared for first contact, though they never expected it to happen like this. The main screen lit up with an alien face. The creature looked almost human, but its skin was pale blue and its eyes were too large. It wore robes that seemed to be made of light itself. "Greetings, primitive species," the alien said. Its voice sounded like music, but the words were cold. "I am Fleet Commander Zethral of the Galactic Coalition. We have come to offer you a great honor." "I'm Admiral Tejo of Earth Defense," Tejo replied calmly. "What kind of honor?" The alien's large eyes seemed to glow brighter. "We offer you membership in our coalition. Your species will be protected and guided by races far older and wiser than your own." Behind Tejo, Commander Kyomin worked quietly at his station. He was recording everything, every word, every image, every detail about the alien ships. His job was to learn as much as possible about these visitors. "That sounds interesting," Tejo said. "What would this membership involve?" The alien commander smiled, showing teeth that were too white and too sharp. "Your world has many useful resources. You will provide these materials to the coalition. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of space." "And if we refuse?" The smile grew wider. "Why would you refuse?" "Look at our ships. See our power. We have weapons that can turn your entire planet into dust. We have traveled between the stars for thousands of years while you have barely left your own world." Tejo kept his face blank, but inside he was thinking hard. The alien was trying to scare him, but there was something else. Pride. The creature was too proud of its pretty ships. "We would need time to discuss this with our leaders," Tejo said. "Of course," the alien replied, "but do not take too long. We have other worlds to visit, other species to enlighten. You have 3 of your days to decide." The screen went dark. The bridge was quiet for a moment. "What do you think, sir?" asked Ambassador Haywan. She was Earth's best diplomat, sent along to handle the political side of first contact. "I think they expect us to be impressed," Tejo said quietly. "Sojin, what did you see?" Captain Sojin had been studying the alien ships through her instruments. "Their formation is perfect for showing off, terrible for fighting. They're spread out in a line so we can see all of them, but that means they can't protect each other if attacked. Anything else? Their weapons are charged but pointed away from us. Either they're being polite, or they're so sure we're not a threat that they don't bother aiming at us." Commander Kyomin looked up from his console. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy signatures from their ships. Whatever powers them is incredibly advanced. But there's something strange." "What?" "All the energy seems to be going to making those light shows on their hulls. Their actual defensive systems are running on much less power." Tejo nodded slowly. "Dr. Yunseo, you're our expert on alien technology. What's your reading?" Dr. Yunseo was a quiet woman who spent most of her time studying space phenomena. "Their technology is definitely more advanced than ours in many ways. But it's like they built their ships to impress people, not to fight wars." "Interesting," Tejo said. He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the alien fleet. The ships continued their slow, graceful dance around Earth's moon. Every movement was smooth and elegant. "Sir," Lieutenant Boram called from the communication station, "I'm picking up transmissions between their ships. They're not encrypted. Can you understand them?" "The computer is working on it. But from the tone and pattern, it sounds like they're discussing how primitive we are. One of them just called our ship adorably small." Tejo almost smiled at that. The Soul's Promise was small compared to the alien vessels, but it wasn't built to look impressive. It was built to do a job. "Engineer Dongwu, how are our systems holding up?" Tejo asked. The young engineer looked up from his displays. "All green, sir. Everything's running perfectly. Should I prepare to send our report back to Earth? Not yet. We need to learn more first, Tejo turned to his crew. Everyone keep watching and learning. These aliens think they know everything about us, but they've made one big mistake. What's that, sir? Sojin asked. They think we're impressed by pretty ships and fancy light shows. They don't realize that humans care more about what works than what looks good. The alien fleet continued its slow patrol around the moon. Their ships were beautiful, there was no doubt about that. But as Tejo watched them, he noticed something the aliens probably didn't realize. Their perfect formation, their graceful movements, their impressive displays of power. It all looked like a parade, not a military operation. These aliens had been doing this for a long time. They were used to other species falling down and worshipping their superior technology. They expected fear and awe. What they were going to get instead was a very different kind of response. The alien flagship was even more impressive on the inside than outside. Admiral Tejo walked through corridors that seemed to be made of flowing light. The walls changed colors as he passed, and the floor felt soft under his feet even though it looked like solid crystal. Fleet Commander Zethral waited in what he called the Grand Chamber. The room was huge, with a ceiling so high that Tejo couldn't see the top. Floating platforms held alien officers who watched the humans with curious eyes. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Glory," Zethral said. He gestured to the room around them. "This ship alone has more firepower than your entire planet. Is it not magnificent?" "It's very impressive," Tejo replied honestly. Captain Sojin and Dr. Yunseo flanked him, both trying to take in as much detail as possible. "Come, let me show you the true power of the coalition," Zethral said. He waved his hand and the air in the center of the room began to shimmer. A hologram appeared showing a planet covered in green forests and blue oceans. It looked peaceful and beautiful. "This world refused to join us," Zethral explained. "They thought their primitive weapons could protect them." The hologram changed. Now it showed the alien fleet in orbit around the planet. The crystal ships began to glow brighter and brighter. "Watch carefully," Zethral said. Beams of pure energy lanced down from the ships. Where they touched the planet's surface, everything simply vanished. Mountains disappeared. Oceans boiled away. In minutes, the beautiful world became a dead rock floating in space. "Impressive," Tejo said calmly, though inside he was horrified. "How many people lived there?" "About 3 billion, Zethral replied with no emotion at all. "They died quickly." "We are not cruel." Dr. Yunseo stepped forward. "May I ask about the energy source that powers such weapons?" Zethral looked pleased by her interest. "Of course. We harvest power from the quantum foam itself. Each of our ships contains a pocket universe that generates unlimited energy." "Fascinating," Dr. Yunseo said. "And this technology has been perfected over many years?" "Thousands of years," another alien said proudly. This one wore different robes and had silver markings on his blue skin. "I am Science Commander Vorthtan. Our technology has not changed significantly in millennia because it has already reached perfection." Sojin asked quietly, "How often do you need to fight actual battles?" Zethral looked confused by the question. "Fight? We do not fight. We demonstrate our power and species surrender. It has been over 800 years since anyone was foolish enough to oppose us in actual combat." 800 years, Tejo repeated thoughtfully. "That's a long time of peace." "Peace through strength," Zethral said proudly. "Our ships are so powerful that war has become obsolete. No one dares to challenge the coalition anymore." The hologram changed again, showing dozens of different worlds. Some were covered in cities that looked like crystal gardens. Others had been stripped down to bare rock with massive mining operations. "These are our member worlds," Vorthtan explained. "The fortunate ones provide their resources willingly and are allowed to maintain their cultures. The others," he gestured to the mining worlds. "I see," Tejo said. "And what role would Earth play in this system?" "Your world has excellent mineral deposits," Zethral said. "Iron, rare earths, radioactive materials. Your species would extract these for the coalition. In return, you would receive protection and limited access to our knowledge." "Limited access?" Dr. Yunseo asked. "Naturally. Advanced technology must be earned through centuries of loyal service. We cannot risk primitive species misusing tools beyond their understanding." Lieutenant Boram, who had been quietly recording everything, spoke up. "How do you decide which species are primitive?" The aliens looked at her with what might have been amusement. "Child, that is obvious. Look at your ships. Look at your technology. You have barely learned to leave your own star system, while we have ruled the galaxy for millennia. But you said you haven't fought a real battle in 800 years, Sojin pointed out. How do you know your weapons still work properly? The question seemed to confuse the aliens. Zethral frowned. Why would they not work? They are perfect technology, built to last forever. It's just that human technology sometimes breaks down if it's not used regularly, Sojin explained innocently. Primitive engineering, Forthtan said dismissively. Our systems are self-maintaining. They require no crude repairs or adjustments. Taeho nodded as if this made perfect sense, but he noticed that Sojin was filing away every detail. She was thinking like a tactical officer looking for weaknesses. The tour continued for another hour. The aliens showed off their beautiful quarters, their advanced food production systems, and their entertainment centers. Everything was elegant and impressive. But Taeho began to notice something. There were no damage control stations, no armories, no medical facilities designed for battle casualties. This wasn't a warship, it was a luxury cruise liner with weapons attached. Your crew seems very relaxed, Taeho observed. Why would they not be? Zethral asked. We face no threats. Our enemies surrender before we even power up our weapons. Speaking of enemies, Dr. Yunseo said carefully, are there any other species in this area that might threaten Earth? None, Zethral said firmly. The Coalition controls this entire region of space. Any hostile species were eliminated long ago. As they returned to the Grand Chamber, Engineer Dongwu managed to whisper to Taeho, Sir, I've been scanning their systems. They're incredibly advanced, but they're all automated. I don't think these crews actually know how to repair anything if it breaks. Taeho filed that information away. The more he learned about these aliens, the more he understood them. They had been the strongest force in the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what real competition looked like. So, Zethral said as they prepared to leave, what do you think of our offer? Surely you can see that resistance is pointless. Certainly an impressive demonstration, Taeho replied. We'll need to discuss this with our leadership, as I mentioned. Of course. But do not take long. Other species wait for our attention, and our patience has limits. As they returned to their shuttle, Sojin leaned close to Taeho. Sir, did you notice their reaction times? What about them? Everything they do is slow and ceremonial. When that one alien asked a question, it took several seconds for the others to respond, like they're not used to making quick decisions. Good observation, Taeho said quietly. What else? Their formation around our ship never changed the whole time we were aboard. They're not even watching for threats. They're just posing, Dr. Yunseo added. And their technology, while advanced, is completely standardized. Every ship is identical. They don't adapt or modify anything. Taeho nodded as their shuttle undocked from the alien flagship. Through the viewport, he could see the entire Coalition fleet spread out in their perfect parade formation. Beautiful, powerful, and completely unprepared for an actual fight. Boram, get me a secure channel to Earth Command, Taeho ordered. It's time to let them know what we're dealing with. President Jinwoo sat at the head of the long table in the underground bunker beneath Seoul. Around him, the most important people on Earth waited for his decision. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of air recyclers and the distant sound of construction from somewhere deeper in the complex. Admiral Taeho's report is clear, President Jinwoo said finally. These aliens expect us to surrender without a fight. They think we're primitive and helpless. General Sung-min leaned forward. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of military service. They're not wrong about being more advanced. Those energy weapons could destroy our cities in minutes. But they haven't fought a real war in 800 years, Dr. Eunji pointed out. She was the head of Earth's weapons research program. A small woman with thick glasses and oil stains on her lab coat. 800 years of no combat experience. That's 25 generations of soldiers who have never been shot at. What about their ships? Asked Defense Minister Hyo-jin. Taeho says they're incredibly powerful. Powerful, yes, Dr. Eunji replied, but designed for intimidation, not combat. Look at this. She activated a hologram showing the alien fleet formation. They're spread out so everyone can see how impressive they are. But they can't provide covering fire for each other. And those pretty light displays? They're wasting enormous amounts of energy just to look scary. President Jinwoo studied the display. What's the status of Project Ironhammer? General Sung-min smiled grimly. All ships are complete and ready. Captain Han Sol has been running combat drills for 6 months. The crews know their jobs. How many ships do we have? 47 combat vessels. Not as big as theirs, but built for one purpose. The general pulled up another hologram. No wasted space, no luxury quarters, no pretty lights. Just armor, weapons, and engines. Dr. Yoonji added, each ship carries enough kinetic rounds to level a city. Our railguns may be primitive compared to their energy weapons, but a chunk of metal moving at 1/10 the speed of light doesn't care how advanced your shields are. Meanwhile, far above Earth's surface, the alien fleet continued its slow patrol. On the flagship Eternal Glory, Fleet Commander Zethral was growing impatient. How long do these humans need to make such a simple decision? He asked Science Commander Vorthtan. Perhaps they are arguing among themselves, Vorthtan replied. Primitive species often have difficulty reaching consensus. They lack our unity of purpose. Or maybe they're trying to think of ways to resist, suggested Battle Coordinator Nithvel, a younger alien with bright green markings. Both senior officers looked at him with amusement. Resist? Zethral laughed. With what? Their tiny ships could not even scratch our hulls. Still, Nithvel said carefully, should we not at least scan their system for military installations? We already have, Vorthtan said dismissively. They have some orbital platforms and a few armed vessels. Nothing worth our concern. What they didn't know was that their scans had been designed to find technology similar to their own. The alien sensors looked for energy signatures, exotic matter, and quantum distortions. They completely missed the cold, dark shapes drifting in the asteroid belt. Shapes that generated no exotic energy and used no quantum effects. Back on Earth, Captain So-Jin was reviewing intelligence reports in a secure facility. She had been analyzing the alien formations and tactical patterns for days. Their weakness is pride, she told her staff. They're so used to intimidating people that they've forgotten basic military doctrine. Look at this. She pointed to a tactical display. They always approach in the same formation. They always position themselves the same way. They're completely predictable. Commander Jae-hyun, head of stealth operations, nodded. Our sensor probes have been watching them for 3 days. They never vary their patterns. They never post scouts. They just assume they're safe. What about their response time? Asked Dr. Mi-young, the tactical systems coordinator. Terrible, So-Jin replied. We've timed their communications. It takes them an average of 43 seconds to relay orders from the flagship to their outer ships. And they use the same communication frequencies every time. So we can jam them? Better than that. We can feed them false information. Above Earth, the aliens were having their own meeting. Fleet Commander Zethral stood before a holographic display showing Earth's major cities. The human leadership has requested 1 more day to consider our offer, he announced to his officers. I am inclined to grant this request. Why, sir? Asked Nithvel. We could simply take their world now and be done with it. Because, young coordinator, fear is a more powerful weapon than force. Let them think about our demonstration. Let them imagine what will happen to their cities if they refuse. When they finally surrender, they will be completely broken. And if they don't surrender? Nithvel asked. Zethral's expression grew cold. Then we will provide the galaxy with another example of what happens to species that defy the coalition. But far below the surface of Earth, President Jinwoo was making a very different kind of decision. General Sung-min, deploy the fleet, he ordered. Full stealth protocols. I want them in position before the aliens' deadline expires. Yes, sir. What about evacuation of the major cities? Already underway. We've been moving people to underground shelters for the past week. The aliens think we're panicking, but we're actually preparing for war. Dr. Yoonji looked worried. Sir, are we really going to fight them? Their technology is incredibly advanced. Yes, President Jinwoo said firmly, because they've made one fatal mistake. They think advanced technology automatically wins wars. But humans know better. Wars are won by whoever wants to win more. Captain Han Sol received his orders while his ship, the Inchen's Fury, drifted silently in the shadow of a large asteroid. Around him, 46 other human warships powered up their systems and prepared for battle. These ships looked nothing like the elegant alien vessels. They were gray, angular, and covered with weapon ports. Their hulls were thick armor designed to absorb punishment. Their engines were built for quick acceleration and sharp turns. Every system had been tested in combat simulations over and over again. All ships, this is Han Sol. The captain broadcast on encrypted channels. Final systems check. We get one chance at this. The responses came back quickly. Every ship was ready. Every crew knew their job. They had trained for this moment for years, even before they knew what enemy they would face. Remember, Han Sol continued, these aliens have never fought anyone who fought back. They expect us to be scared. They expect us to make mistakes. They expect us to run. He paused, looking out at the alien fleet through his ship's sensors. The beautiful crystal ships continued their slow, graceful dance around Earth's moon. They're about to learn that humans don't scare easily. The countdown to the alien deadline continued. On Earth, the last civilians entered their shelters. In space, the human fleet waited in darkness. And on the alien flagship, Fleet Commander Zethral prepared to teach another primitive species the price of defying the Galactic Coalition. None of them knew that everything was about to change. The deadline expired at exactly 14:00 Earth Standard Time. Fleet Commander Zethral stood on the bridge of the Eternal Glory, his large eyes fixed on the blue planet below. 3 days had passed since humanity received their generous offer of membership in the Galactic Coalition. Sir, we've received Earth's final response, Communications Officer Lethnar reported. Display it, Zethral commanded. Admiral Tejo's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm, almost relaxed. Fleet Commander Zethral, we have carefully considered your offer. Humanity thanks the Coalition for their interest in our world, but we must respectfully decline membership at this time. The bridge fell silent. Several alien officers looked at each other in confusion. In their thousands of years of expansion, no species had ever simply said no to the Coalition. Furthermore, Tejo continued, we request that your fleet leave our system immediately. Earth is not available for conquest. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one on the alien bridge spoke. Did he just... Science Commander Vorthtan began. Yes, Zethral said, his voice deadly quiet. They refused. And then they ordered us to leave. His expression grew cold. Very well. If they choose destruction, we will accommodate them. Battle Coordinator Nithvel stepped forward. Sir, should we target their military installations first? No, Zethral replied. Target their largest city. We will make an example that will terrify every other species in this region of space. The Coalition fleet began to move into attack formation. Their crystal ships spread out in a line, each one beginning to glow with gathering energy. The Eternal Glory took position at the center of the formation, its massive weapons array charging for planet-killing levels of destruction. All ships, prepare to fire on my command, Zethral ordered. Full power bombardment of coordinates 37.5 north, 126.9 east. That was Seoul, South Korea. 25 million people lived in that metropolitan area. Though the aliens didn't know that most had already been evacuated to deep underground shelters. Weapons at 90% charge. Tactical Officer Krendall reported. Good. Let the humans watch their capital city disappear. Perhaps the sight will convince the rest of their species to be more reasonable. But something was wrong. Several alien sensors were picking up strange readings from the space around them. Energy signatures that didn't match any known technology appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Sir, sensor operator Yithmas called out nervously. I'm detecting anomalous readings throughout the system. Explain, Zethral demanded. Unknown contacts, sir. They appear on sensors for a few seconds, then vanish. The readings are unusual, Zethral frowned. Space debris, asteroids, the solar wind affecting your instruments. Sir, I don't think. Weapons at full charge, Krendall interrupted. Fire, Zethral commanded. But before the Coalition ships could release their devastating bombardment, space around them erupted with new contacts. Dozens of ships appeared as if materializing from nothing, their stealth systems shutting down simultaneously. The human fleet was nothing like the aliens expected. These weren't sleek, beautiful vessels designed to inspire awe. They were brutal, angular ships that looked like flying weapons platforms. Their hulls were dark gray, covered with armor plates and bristling with gun ports. Every line of their design spoke of one purpose, destroying enemies. What are those? Vorthtan gasped. Before anyone could answer, the human ships opened fire. Railgun rounds, each weighing several tons and moving at incredible speed, slammed into the Coalition formation. The projectiles punched through the aliens' pretty energy shields like they weren't there, and tore massive holes in crystal hulls. "Shields are down," Krendal shouted.
"How is that possible?"
Captain Hansol, commanding the Inchon's Fury, smiled grimly as his ship's main guns fired again. "Because, he said to his crew, their shields are designed to stop energy weapons. Nobody told them about kinetic bombardment. The battle that followed was swift and brutal. The coalition ships, designed for impressive displays rather than actual combat, found themselves completely outmatched. Their graceful formations became death traps as human missiles found every weak point that Captain Sojin had identified during her reconnaissance. Evasive maneuvers, Sethral screamed, but his crew didn't know what that meant. They had never needed to dodge enemy fire before. Their beautiful ships were too large and too slow to avoid the swarms of human fighters that darted between them, like angry wasps. The Glorious Dawn, one of the Coalition's heavy battleships, tried to turn its main weapons toward the human fleet, but before it could fire, 3 human ships coordinated their attack. Railgun rounds from different angles struck the alien ship's weapon array simultaneously, turning the elegant energy projectors into twisted metal. "Sir, we're losing ships," Nithvel reported, his voice cracking with panic. "The shining victory is gone. The eternal harmony is venting atmosphere." "Impossible," Zethral snarled. "Our technology is superior. Our ships are more advanced." "Advanced doesn't mean effective," Captain Hansol said over the communication channel. His voice was calm, professional. "You built your ships to scare people. We built ours to kill ships." Another volley of human fire reached the Coalition fleet. This time they used cluster munitions, single missiles that split into hundreds of smaller warheads just before impact. The alien point defenses, designed to stop large energy bolts, couldn't track all the tiny projectiles. The results were devastating. The beautiful Eternity, a Coalition cruiser, disappeared in a ball of explosions as cluster munitions found its reactor core. The ship simply disintegrated, leaving nothing but glowing debris. "Fall back," Zethral ordered desperately. "All ships retreat to minimum safe distance." But the human ships pursued relentlessly. They moved in coordinated wolf packs, always attacking from multiple directions. Their pilots flew with deadly precision, exploiting every weakness in the alien formations. Commander Jae-hyun, leading a squadron of human fighters, darted through the Coalition fleet like a predator hunting prey. His small craft was barely a speck compared to the massive alien ships, but its missile payload was perfectly designed to exploit the gaps in their armor. "This is Jae-hyun to all fighter squadrons," he broadcast. "Target their sensor arrays. Blind them first, then go for their engines." The human fighters swarmed over the Coalition ships, their weapons finding every vulnerable spot. The aliens' beautiful vessels, designed more for ceremonies than combat, had dozens of weak points that any human military engineer would have eliminated in the design phase. On the Eternal Glory's bridge, chaos reigned. Alien officers shouted contradictory orders while damage reports poured in from throughout the fleet. Zethral stared at his tactical display in shock, watching centuries of Coalition dominance crumble in minutes. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 14 destroyed, 23 heavily damaged, Nithvel replied, his voice hollow. "Sir, we have to retreat. Our fleet is being destroyed." For the first time in 800 years, a Coalition fleet was losing a battle. The aliens' perfect technology meant nothing against enemies who understood that war was about destroying your opponent, not impressing them. "Send a general retreat order," Zethral said finally, his pride shattered along with his fleet. "All surviving ships, fall back to the edge of the system." As the battered Coalition fleet limped away from Earth, Admiral Teho's voice came over the communication channel one more time. "Fleet Commander Zethral, this is Admiral Teho. You are leaving our system now. Any Coalition ship that returns to Earth space will be destroyed without warning. Is that understood?" Zethral looked around his damaged bridge at his terrified crew, at the display showing his ruined fleet. For thousands of years, the Coalition had been the strongest force in the galaxy. Today that had changed. "Understood," he said quietly. The space around Earth's moon was filled with debris. Pieces of crystal hull drifted slowly past the human ships, catching starlight and throwing back rainbow colors. What had been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was now scattered wreckage and fleeing survivors. Captain Hansol stood on the bridge of the Inchon's Fury, watching the last Coalition ships disappear into hyperspace. His crew was silent, still processing what they had just accomplished. They had faced the galaxy's supreme military force and won decisively. Damage report, Hansol ordered. Minor hull damage to 7 ships, his tactical officer replied. No casualties. The Soul's shield lost some armor plating, but she's still combat ready. Hansol nodded. The human fleet had fought a perfect battle, coordinated, efficient, and deadly. Everything the aliens were not. On Earth, President Jinwoo emerged from the command bunker to address the world. News of the victory was already spreading across the planet. Humans everywhere were celebrating, but the president knew this was just the beginning. My fellow citizens of Earth, he said to the cameras, today we faced our first test as a spacefaring species. An alien empire tried to make us slaves in our own system. They thought we would be impressed by their advanced technology and submit without a fight. He paused, looking directly into the camera. They were wrong. Humanity has never surrendered to bullies, no matter how powerful they claim to be. Today proved that superior technology means nothing without the will to use it properly. Far across the galaxy, the news of the Coalition's defeat spread like wildfire. On the trading world of Nexus Prime, alien merchants huddled around communication displays watching grainy footage of the battle. The images showed Coalition ships that had terrified entire star systems, being torn apart by crude human weapons. How is this possible? Whispered Trader Gelnvok, a spider-like creature from the outer rim. The Coalition's weapons can destroy planets. Weapons are useless if you can't hit your target, replied Captain Yaratun, a grizzled old spacer who had served on Coalition ships decades ago. I've seen their battle drills. All ceremony, no substance. They forgot how to fight real wars. On the Coalition capital world of Centris, emergency meetings were being held in the great crystal towers that housed the government. Fleet Admiral Kothran, supreme commander of all Coalition forces, studied the battle reports with growing alarm. Explain to me how a single primitive world destroyed one of our main battle fleets, he demanded. Science Director Fendal shifted nervously. Sir, their technology is crude but effective. They use kinetic weapons, simple projectiles fired at high velocity. Our shields aren't designed to stop solid matter moving at those speeds. And their tactics? Coordinated pack hunting. They attack from multiple angles simultaneously, always targeting our weakest points. It's like they studied us and designed their entire military specifically to counter our capabilities. Admiral Kothran was quiet for a long moment. How long since any of our commanders faced real combat? 837 years, sir. And these humans? Fendal consulted his files. Their species has been fighting continuous wars for their entire recorded history. They've never had more than a few decades of peace at any one time. The Admiral understood. The Coalition had grown soft during centuries of easy victories. They had confused technological superiority with military effectiveness. The humans had reminded them of a harsh truth. Wars were won by warriors, not by engineers. Back in Earth's solar system, Admiral Teho was coordinating the cleanup operations. Human ships collected alien technology from the wreckage, while engineering teams studied the advanced systems, but they weren't trying to copy the alien designs. They were learning how to fight them. Sir, Commander Kyomin reported, we're detecting long-range communication signals. The surviving Coalition ships are broadcasting details of the battle to their homeworlds. Good, Teho replied. Let them spread the word. Sir? Kyomin, the Coalition has been bullying species across the galaxy for thousands of years. Today, we proved that bullies can be beaten. Every oppressed world is going to hear about what happened here. Dr. Yunji joined them on the bridge, her tablet full of preliminary analysis from the alien wreckage. Admiral, their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's all standardized. Every ship uses identical systems. They haven't innovated in centuries. What does that tell us? That they're not adaptable. When something works for them, they never change it. But we adapt constantly. Every human ship in this fleet is different from the others. We modify, we improve, we evolve. Captain Sojin, who had been monitoring galactic communications, looked up from her station. Sir, we're intercepting messages between Coalition worlds. Some of them are already talking about declaring independence. Teho smiled. The Coalition built their empire on fear. Once that fear is gone, the empire falls apart, Sojin finished. 3 months later, the first alien delegation arrived at Earth. But these weren't Coalition ships. They were vessels from the Kepler Alliance. a group of worlds that had recently broken away from coalition control. Ambassador Haywan met with the alien representatives in a conference room aboard the Soul's Promise. The aliens were different species, some reptilian, some insectoid, some that defied easy description. But they all had one thing in common: hope. "We've heard about your victory," said Ambassador Trenjak, a tall creature with green scales and multiple arms. "For the first time in 1,000 years, someone stood up to the coalition and won. We want to learn from you," added Representative Kixnall, whose species looked like walking crystals. "How do you fight them? How do you build ships that can defeat their technology?" Haywan looked at each of them carefully. "The coalition didn't lose because of our technology. They lost because they forgot what real military forces look like. They built ships for parades, not battles. Can you teach us? We can share what we've learned. But remember, every species has to find their own way to fight. What works for humans might not work for you." Over the following months, Earth became the center of a growing alliance of free worlds. The coalition's empire, built on millennia of intimidation, began to crumble as species after species declared independence. The coalition still controlled most of the galaxy, but their absolute authority was broken. They could no longer simply appear at a world and expect instant surrender. Some species would fight back now and fight effectively. Captain Hansol, now promoted to admiral, stood in the bridge of humanity's newest ship, the Busan's Vengeance. Through the viewport, he could see a dozen other human vessels and twice as many ships from allied species. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're getting a message from the coalition fleet at Rigel 7. They're requesting terms for withdrawal." Hansol almost smiled. 6 months ago, coalition fleets dictated terms to everyone else. Now they were asking for safe passage to leave a system. "Tell them they have 12 hours to clear the system," he replied. "After that, we consider them hostile." The coalition ships jumped to hyperspace within the hour. Admiral Tejo, back on Earth, was briefing President Jin Woo on the latest developments. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls of the secure briefing room, marked with human bases, allied worlds, and shrinking coalition territory. "How many species have joined our alliance?" President Jin Woo asked. 47 confirmed, with more asking for membership every day, Tejo replied. "The coalition is retreating to their core worlds and fortifying their positions. Will they try to attack Earth again? I don't think so. They're too busy trying to hold their remaining territory together. But we need to stay ready." "Cornered animals are dangerous," President Jin Woo nodded. "What about our shipbuilding program?" "On schedule. We'll have 300 combat vessels by next year, plus allied ships. The galaxy is learning that pretty ships don't win wars." Across the galaxy, the message was spreading. Humanity had looked at the coalition's mighty fleet and seen through the illusion. Behind all the advanced technology and elegant designs was a military force that had forgotten how to fight. The aliens had thought humans would be impressed by their battleships. Instead, humanity had shown them what real warships looked like: ugly, practical, and absolutely deadly. The age of coalition dominance was ending. The age of free worlds, led by the small blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, had begun.